As our case study, our report lays out, we had different phases of our work. And that first phase was an assessment, really setting the baseline around where we were as an organization. So what was our staff community's current understanding of key racial equity concepts, right? Did they understand the history and construct of race? Did they understand the idea of group dynamics? Did they understand what microaggressions were, implicit bias, white fragility, white silence, all of it? And then, from that, we were able to assess, like, where were the gaps, right? So, that assessment was done through a survey, through focus groups, through interviews. It was comprehensive. But we were able to really narrow to a list of, I think it was 7 to 10 really major gaps that we identified within the organization. Once we saw those gaps, and some of them were quite gaping large gaps, we developed a plan. And when I talk to other organizations, this sounds so simple, but I can't hit this home enough, the need to have a plan. And I think, understandably, the instinct sometimes for organizations is just to kind of do something. Like, we're gonna do a training, and it's gonna be a day or 2 days, just to be doing something. And that comes from a totally good place, and often they're really good experiences, but it doesn't sit within a larger plan. So it can feel like what I call a plop, where it's just kind of plopped down into the community, and then there's no follow-up. There's nothing kind of coming next to further that experience. So I think all of this work needs to be planned out very thoughtfully and very sequentially, because learning builds upon previous learnings and should set up for future learnings. So we put a plan in place. So Angela Park, this consultant we worked with, really helped us build that plan and then execute that plan. We chose, to answer your question, to do everything at once, right? So we were dealing with the kind of analytical side of the work as well as the interpersonal side of the work. Our initial orientation was that you can't do one without the other. And some organizations do one or the other, and many consultants can do one or the other, but our analysis was that for our organization, our beliefs that we needed to tackle both at once. So, the way we did that took many different forms, right? So some of it was very individual based, some of it was group based, some of it was organization wide, some of it was team based. And people did self-assessments very early in the journey to really identify for themselves where they were on their own transformation journey and what interventions they felt they needed, and really were tasked with their supervisor to develop their own learning plans. And then they were part of larger team-based plans and organizational-based plans. So we didn't sequence it out where we were doing just focusing on program stuff and analytical stuff, and then getting through that, and then just focusing on interpersonal dynamics. We were doing it all at once, but in a sequenced, thoughtful, planful way over a period of time. Something that I do talk to organizations a lot about is, we did our work over a pretty condensed time frame. And it's ongoing, and we're still having engagements that are very focused on learning and skill building. But in those first 2 years, we crammed a lot in, which we could do, right, for our organization. I think organizations in their plans can create plans that are 5 to 10 years long, right? This is work that there should be time and space and air to let it settle, to let it really, really sink into people and the organization and the culture and the experience. So I do encourage folks who are intimidated around, oh my gosh, how do I do all of this? To really kind of lower the anxiety by creating a plan that spans many, many years, but making sure that it's sequential and that there actually is a plan so things aren't done as these plops, as I referenced. As I've mentioned, when we started this effort with the organization, people were in all different places in their own individual journey, in their experience within an organization around these issues. And some people wanted to be moving more quickly or moving more slowly. And we had to balance all of that. And that was a challenge, still is a challenge to this day. I don't think there is one easy answer for how to do that. I do think being very transparent throughout the entire process over many years around what the actual plan is, as opposed to kind of keeping it secret and just unveiling things along the way, saying, here's our multi-year plan. This is what we're going to be doing this month and this quarter and this year, and this is why. This is the rationale why. And as part of that articulating, we recognize that some people, this will be old news for you. For other people, this will be not enough for you. Just naming it and just owning it, and also creating avenues for people to maybe get supplemental experiences or to get more than what we're offering. Creating resources and avenues for that for folks is quite important as well. So again, there's no perfect answer for how to do that well, but I think being transparent about the plan, being clear about the rationale behind that plan, being clear about just the reality that any group of people will have people in it who are in very different places, and then providing supplemental or kind of fast tracks or slower tracks as you can without getting too off the plan can be helpful.